we are here with the History Makers interviews. Can you start by telling us who you are and when you joined APCO?
Sure. My name is Matt Stillwell. Recently retired after 40 years. Oh, thank you. After 40 years in the industry. And I joined APCO in 1994 when I was first promoted at my first agency to the executive level to be the director of that center.
Gotcha. Okay. And to build a little bit off of that, during your tenure in APCO, can you tell us which agencies you worked for, the positions you held, some of your responsibilities, and how long you were there for?
Sure. So I started in 1984 as a dispatcher, and after 5 years was promoted to a shift supervisor. We were going through the quality movement back then called TQM, Total Quality Management, and the police department very progressively civilianized the positions that they needed to, communications being one of them. So at that point I was promoted onto the command staff as a director of the 911 center. And that's when I joined APCO. And I spent a little more than 22 years with the Coral Springs Police Department in Florida. And then retired and was hired by the city of Edmond, Oklahoma, as their director of public safety communications and emergency management, where I spent nearly 18 years overseeing both the 911 and the emergency management operations.
That's fantastic. Wow. What drew you to join APCO, and was there a particular person or event that influenced you?
Yeah, so I remember early on, particularly as we were emerging as an industry and realizing how green I was, I had enough wisdom at least to be able to reach out to some of the better known and respected people in my position in the area. Yeah. And there was a particular lady who's a life member, Nancy DeZoba from Fort Lauderdale, who really took me under her wing and said, you know, you really need to join this organization. You need to join APCO and be part of the Florida chapter. And so she just had a great influence on me, originally joining and then originally engaging, encouraging me to reach out to leadership within the chapter, to get involved in committee work. I saw right away, I remember the very first conference I went to, I saw right away that it was an opportunity not only for me to grow, but I had this burning desire inside to also help out and make a difference somehow. So she and several people in the chapter were very instrumental in leading me toward engagement and being involved. And another life member, Barry Luke, from the Florida chapter, is the one that really pushed me into chapter leadership, which was really a great path to take. And as I look back, that foundation was so important in giving me the opportunity to be involved and accomplish what I have over all these years.
Sounds like you had quite a few people who influenced you.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, that's great. Can you describe some of your APCO activities at the state chapter or national level during your tenure? Sure.
I was involved in chapter leadership in Florida pretty much about the same time when I became involved in committee work and committee leadership at the national level. So it was kind of funny how that worked simultaneously. So in Florida, at the chapter level, I worked my way through the board, was elected to the board of directors, and ultimately became the president of that organization. And then simultaneously, and I don't know why, but I was asked to chair some committees early on that had to do with standards and training and that kind of stuff at the national level. So, but yeah, there's been a lot of work over the years. At both the state level, also in Oklahoma, serving as their executive council representative, and ultimately on the board as a regional representative. So, yeah, there's been a lot of involvement, a lot of engagements in a lot of areas because the 30 years I've been in the organization is a long time.
Yeah.
And I've certainly had a passion or have a passion to be involved, make a difference, which obviously you want to help somebody else out, but I'll tell you selfishly, I just gained a whole lot of benefits from the path I took.
I'm sure you did.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, you've already touched on it a little bit, but has your APCO membership had a direct effect on your career in public safety communications?
Oh, absolutely. So those of us that have been around for a long time know the challenges we faced in the 911 center. Second-class citizen type of issues, lack of training issues. I was part of a transition that took place not only in our industry, but at the agency I worked at. And APCO was just a great resource to be able to equip me to be able to have an effect on the operation that I was responsible for. So we saw a significant transition at my agency in Florida from kind of the dark ages into really a leader type of environment as to the real progressive things that we were doing and the opportunities that we were giving people that were on the front lines of our industry.
Got it. Okay. What do you like most about APCO?
It's just a great organization.
Yeah.
You know, there's so many friends, mentors, colleagues. Like I said, I just retired 2 years ago. So I'm not in the day-to-day operation. One of the things I loved about going to work was the people that I worked with. But showing up to this conference here and seeing these people that I've known for such a long time, and the bond that we have professionally, the bond that we have personally, is almost indescribable. Yeah. And then also, I've met a ton of new people, young people that are in there, having the conversations, hearing their stories, being to maybe have the opportunity to encourage them in some way is really neat too.
That's right. Okay. All right. Let's see. What do you think APCO does better than anybody else?
Well, I think it's multifaceted.
Sure.
I know when I first joined, and APCO is still very involved and still the leader when it comes to the radio piece, the spectrum, all of those needs. They are the organization that have accomplished so many things that allow the technology, particularly the radio technology, to be effective in our industry. That being said, my passion has always been for the dispatcher, for the call taker, for the people on the front line. And APCO has done a fantastic job in creating opportunities, training, standards in order for those frontline people to have an opportunity to be professionally recognized at the level that they should be. We're certainly moving in the right direction there. But also just basic things like training. There were no training standards.
Right.
You know, when I first started, it was basically, there's the phone. You know, if it flashes and rings, just pick it up, you know, and then if you need to send somebody, just press that button and tell them to go, you know.
Right.
But there's so much more to what we do. And I saw APCO emerge as the leading organization in creating those training standards, those classes, and those opportunities for dispatchers to be able to do what they do the right way.
Right. That's good. Yeah. Let's see. With the advent of NG911, what does APCO need to do to stay current with emerging technologies?
And that's a big one because again, talk about multifaceted situations. You've got the technology piece, and then just trying to come up with a way for everybody to kind of be on the same page as that technology emerges so that can be effective. It's just a huge challenge. But another piece, it's going back to the people. APCO had a project where we looked at how NG911 is going to affect the person sitting on the front line, not knowing exactly what that next gen 911 was going to be. But we know it includes a lot of technology when it comes to messaging, when it comes to photos, when it comes to videos and all that kind of stuff. So technologically we do it, but how does that affect somebody on the front line? A dispatcher, I know when I was a dispatcher, I answered the phone and I heard what was going on and I gathered the information that I needed, but I didn't see what was going on there, right? And that's a different animal. So if there's a high priority call that comes in that involves blood and guts, for instance,
Right.
we would hear, but we didn't see. Seeing it is a whole different story.
Yeah.
So how does that affect the person sitting on the front line? Do they even want to do that? I made a decision at one point in my life. I didn't want to be a cop because I didn't want to deal with that stuff. But now we're putting dispatchers, and this is just one example, but we'll be putting dispatchers in a position where they're going to have to deal with that. And we know that's going to affect people, mentally. It's going to affect the way that they do their job. So, there's still a lot of unknowns out there. One thing I've learned is that technology is continually progressing. And when we first started looking at Next Gen 911, what it's going to be, how it's going to affect people, we weren't really talking about AI. And look what AI has done in just the last year. Now that's going to be becoming part of that solution. So how does that come into play, and how do we figure that out, and how do we roll it out in a way that is going to be most effective to be able for us to provide the mission-critical public safety services that we're responsible for?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, I think we can squeeze one more in here. What stands out as a significant contribution to your time in office?
I've held many roles, from committee leadership to serving on the board of directors.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest has to do with standards. I was privileged as a young professional to be involved in the original P33 standard, which was the minimum training standard for public safety telecommunicators, and was involved in that deeply all the way through the transition from us just updating that standard every couple of years to using the ANSI process for our standards. And there's a lot more than just a group of people sitting in a room figuring this thing out. There's occupational analysis work that has to be done. There are work groups that get together. There's, there are layers of people being able to make comments to what we're accomplishing. And it being an ANSI standard, it's defendable, it's legal, it all makes sense. So I saw that whole transition and was part of that in committee leadership and work groups along the way. So, again, it's a frontline person. Something as simple as a training standard for the folks that are sitting in the chair is huge. But be able to see that branch out even. We now have standards for supervision, for trainers, for technical people, for quality assurance. There's all these standards, dozens and dozens of standards that have been created. And the original one was that P33, that dispatcher standard. So having been part of that, I think is, it's kind of humbling because, goofy Matt can make a difference. Anybody can.
Yeah.
So you have that dynamic, but it's made a difference in our industry. The reason we get into this work, and it's cliche-ish, is because we want to help people, right? And whatever we can do process-wise, whatever we can do behind the scenes, whatever we can do to equip the people that are doing the job is going to save a life. And that's what it's all about. So as I look back in the work that I've done at the association level, I am confident that work and all those hours and all that blood and sweat equity that we put in has paid off. And there is somebody walking around on the face of this earth today because of the work that we've done. And that's very, very gratifying.
I would definitely say it paid off.
Yeah.
Well, that's all we got time for.
Okay,
Thank you so much
good.
for coming by. We appreciate it.